Welcome back to ET with GOTB, another chapter in the never-ending saga that is England versus Spain, and a much-needed 3 points for Ireland in Gdansk. Let's get into it. I'm Rachel.
I'm Sophie.
And this is Extra Time with Girls on the Ball. Well, welcome to the sick house. Apologies in advance for any undue sniffing, coughing. Both of us have the exact same cold.
Got it at the exact same time as well.
And I think probably from the exact same place.
Yeah.
I blame the rugby. This is why we stick to football, lads. I'm blaming the rugby. The two of us at the exact same time, you said my nose, and I was like, my throat.
Monday afternoon or something.
So yeah, apologies in advance. I don't think I've quite reached the sexy Phoebe voice yet, so it's just bunged. So yeah, sorry to you.
I'm happy I'm on the other side of it.
Yeah, I'd like to think I've crested.
I had a bad...
I don't want to say on the way
night.
down, but like, you know, coming down off it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just concerned that I'm only peaking. It's going to get worse.
Anyway.
As my mug says, today's going to be a good day. It's going to be a short episode today. We don't have loads to talk about, but as promised last week, we said we would do it on the Wednesday. So we had something to talk about because it has been a quiet enough week on the football front. We will look at England versus Spain take 36. I don't know how many times we've watched England against Spain in some
Not that
formation.
many times.
If you include the youth stages, it might just be.
Yeah, true.
We're also going to have a chat through Ireland's result in Poland, important result for them, and we're going to have a look as well at the home nations results. How did Wales, Northern Ireland and Scotland get on so far in this window? Do you think you can give us a player of the week so far? Would you feel confident?
I could give you a player of the match.
Okay, and what about, is there a moment you could shine a spotlight on, do you think?
Yeah.
Grand, so we'll do that as well.
But it will be England focused.
I mean, I could pick some out of Ireland. I don't know how you couldn't, but anyway.
I'll do a shout out for Ireland.
Okay, fine. Well, before we get into all that, this is your weekly reminder to make sure you're subscribed. Wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching this podcast, do leave us a comment. Let us know what you thought of your team's performance in this window, whoever that might be. And do make sure you're following us across all of our socials as well. We're at Girls on the Ball, especially coming up this weekend. We're going to Iceland.
Yeah.
We're going to vlog a bit, so you'll feel like you're with us as well. So we always say that.
The pressure.
But
I won't stop vlogging.
Do follow us. I know we say that, and then we arrive at like 7 a.m. after getting up at 5 a.m. and we're tired.
And disciplined, Rachel.
Yeah, but what happens is we forget the key stuff like the flying bit, and then suddenly we're there and we're like, crap, I haven't done anything. We'll do our best. I'm not promising anything, but I'm being serious about the flight time. It is at 7:35 in the morning. Okay, shall we crack on with England against Spain again? The inevitable fixture that comes every year, multiple times a year it seems. England winning 1-0 at Wembley in front of 62,000.
Yep.
Yeah. An early goal from Lauren Hemp, the quickest goal England have scored at Wembley. Is that correct?
Wembley. England women, yeah.
England women? Yeah, there you go. 2 minutes and 46 seconds or something along those lines. Yeah, I mean, overall thoughts across the match. I felt stressed coming up in the lead up to it. I always do when England are playing Spain, because Spain just scared the bejesus out of me. So do France. They're just two teams that just scare me. And yet in the game, England seemed quite cool, calm and collected.
Yeah, I think England are really confident now when they're playing Spain, and that's not to say they're complacent, but they know they've got the blueprint to get the job done, in terms of they've used this out of possession playbook in the last 4 times that they've played them, and they've won 3 of them. Yes, 1 on penalties, but they still won 3 games.
Yeah.
And I think they went into Tuesday's game, really with the belief that they could disrupt Spain, and that's taking nothing away from the Spanish. They're a brilliant side. They have world-class quality players, but I do sometimes think, and we said this in the summer as well, they lack a plan B as such. And England have really worked out that if they are comfortable off the ball, if they're really well structured and well disciplined, if they don't jump at the Spaniards' invitation to jump forward when they have the ball and break out of the structure, and just allow them to kind of advance slowly on the area and stop the passing lines and stop the spaces and stop the rotations a bit more, then the Spanish get a bit stumped about what to do. And yes, they did have chances. They created 21 opportunities, Spain, but 3 of them were on target. So that is as much about Spain's way with finishing as it is that England were forcing them to take shots generally from outside the box. I think there were a few opportunities from inside the box, but a lot of them were from outside those lines, so a bit further out, and they just ran out of space. And I was just showing you on the replay, like England was so good at blocking the central areas. They flooded the box with numbers. The gap between the midfield and the defence was really tight, and I just think their organisation was superb. And when they were able to get that 1-goal cushion as well, they gave them something to protect in the game, and they did it superbly.
Yeah, and I also didn't feel like England sat back after that. Like, they went for it. LJ could have had a goal. Lauren Hemp hit the post. Kendall, Russo, they all had opportunities as well that really should have been.
They picked their moments, though.
Yeah.
So they were very, very careful about when to break forward.
Yeah.
And when Lauren Hemp hit the post, that goal, that would have been like one of the best team goals I've ever seen in my life. Like, it was ridiculous from back to front, like swashbuckling football. The understanding of the movement of their teammates and where each other were going to be. It just needed that finish at the end, or that just like 1 inch further inside. But I think England were very, very intelligent about when to break forward on the transition.
I feel like England and Spain face similar issues in these games, and that's being clinical, which is funny because they play different styles of football, if you like. But the thing that would just turn that game for England maybe into a more comfortable win, for Spain into a win, is being clinical. And both of them kind of suffer that a little bit when they're playing top teams, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, Spain score a lot of goals, and they score a lot of goals against teams at the upper end. I just think that England have figured this playbook out, as I say, that not many other teams around the world are willing to do in terms of top opposition. If you're looking at the way like France or Germany have approached playing Spain in the Nations League and whatnot, they've wanted to play their style of football rather than figuring that, yes, Spain are probably the best team in possession of the football, but you have to be able to nullify that. And to nullify that, you have to be able to be adaptable. And I think England, especially over the last 12 months, have been very resilient, and we had that phrase, the proper English phrase, it's that fight and that desire and the willingness to do whatever it takes to win. And I think from that time, then you bring in last summer and what they had to do to win those European Championships. It wasn't easy, it wasn't pretty. They had to dig in very, very deep. They had to change things. They had to be adaptable. And I think all of those lessons have built them up to this point in time where they are now sitting top at the moment of the group. They've got a better goal difference. They've got a 4-goal
at the moment
cushion. Even if they go to Mallorca and draw in the final rounds of games, at the moment they're sitting pretty in that.
Yes, that's assuming both Spain and England win the rest of their games.
Yeah. No, I mean at this point in time.
Yeah. Lotte Wubben-Moy and Esme Morgan were a relatively new duo at the back, given Leah Williamson's I won't say injury, but not quite there fitness-wise. And they performed really well. And I know, Spain were missing players. They were missing Bonmati, who's obviously, super key in that midfield area. But they're so stacked with talent. And equally, England were missing players, which is worth pointing out. Your Ella Toons, your Leah Williamson as well, who are key individuals as well in that team. So that pair, I think, did pretty well.
They were very clean in their defending, and
there was some unsureness on social media from pundits as well about that duo.
I was surprised about the unsureness a bit. Maybe not. We were in the pub with Emma Sanders, and I had said the day before, I think it's going to be Lotte and Esme Morgan, just because Esme Morgan has, I think, because she plays in the NWSL, she's not seen very often as regularly by viewers of the English League.
Yeah.
And so she kind of flies under the radar in terms of what she's done, but she's come on leaps and bounds since she's moved to the NWSL. She's been a key part of that Washington Spirit side, and I think she showed in the Euros as well when she was called upon what a quality player she has turned into. And Lotte is at the moment at the heart of a defence that is the meanest in the Barclays WSL. I think Maya Letizia, for Serena Wiegman, obviously sees her, I think, as a right back. That's one problem for her. I do think also she played an awful lot of football and maybe her form has dipped a little bit in the last few weeks as well for Manchester United. That's not to say that she shouldn't be being looked at in that centre-back position, but it was just a combination of factors that made me think that she would go with Lotte and Esme. And I think that was the combination she went with in the second half against Ukraine as well in the last window.
Can I just make a point on the Maya Letizia thing? Because I know it's a real bone of contention with everyone, it seems. And I think it's less about that she doesn't value Letiz at centre-back. I think it's because there's so many options in the centre-back position and there's not enough options, if any, in the right-back position. And it's not that she doesn't think Maya is good in centre-back, it's that she thinks she's the best option for right-back because the others that are potential options for centre-back aren't available.
But she did, in this situation, she chose Lotte.
Yeah, in this situation. But I'm just saying, I think that's, people get so caught up in the she doesn't think she's good enough angle, as opposed to...
I mean, she's good enough, but I just think that at this moment in time...
Yes, I'm not talking about this moment in time. I'm saying people think Serena Wiegman doesn't think she's good enough. Yeah. And my point is, I think it's because England are stacked in that. And people go, yeah, but look at her in the league. And it's like, yeah, but who's the better option for bronze? And it's more that she thinks Maya's the best alternative as opposed to thinking she's not good. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think people just tend to get a bit...
I also think there was some surprise about Alex Greenwood. I think... Serena Wiegman said before the game that she's her starting left back, and I also wasn't particularly surprised at that after the summer. But also, Alex at the moment is playing left back for Manchester City. She's been taken out of that central defensive pairing because Jade Rose and Rebecca Kanak are doing so well as well. So I think she started a career at left back. She's always been a good left back, and given that that's an area that England traditionally struggle with, I haven't been surprised at all that she's been put back out on that left-hand side because she's so professional, she's so tactically astute. She struggled at times, I think, with the pace of Vicky Lopez.
Understandable.
But she did, but I think anyone would. But I think she had a pretty good game, and she worked really well with LJ as well.
LJ is on my list as well, but I was going to say about Lucia Kendall, that was probably the other surprise player starting in the number 10. Obviously, Ella Toone is injured, Fran Kirby's retired. You know, there's more opportunity to experiment in that position. And you weren't hugely surprised that she started, although there was mixed reviews, and I think some of those mixed reviews lacked context around the fact that she was being tried in this position in the deep end as a young player.
So, I think there was also... Was it Grace Clinton against... I can't remember who it was against Spain last year. And people didn't think Grace Clinton had a great game. I think it was Grace. And I think it's just the expectation of what that particular circumstance in a game requires. We know Lucia Kendall's quality on the ball. But her job yesterday... she's normally a 6 or an 8. She's normally more defensive. She's not normally a 10, although she can play a 10. But she was there to provide extra cover and to provide that structure out of possession as much as anything. And I think the way that she worked as a unit with Georgia Stanway and with Kira Walsh, they worked really, really well together. She provided that kind of first level of defence within that midfield area. She was covering her lines. She was very well organised. Yes, she could have probably been better on the football when in possession with it, and she should have scored that chance. And she is, like, you could tell by her face that she knew she should have scored that chance.
I mean, for me, I could tell from her body language before she'd even connected to the
going
ball
backwards
that she You know the way you have some players who are just not as confident in certain situations, and you can just tell from the body language before it happens that in their head they're like, I'm going to miss this.
Or like, I'm not really meant to be here in this situation because this isn't my role today. So I think when you look at her out of possession work, that's the key thing, and the way that they defended that midfield area really, really solidly. They didn't give much away, given the quality that's in there when you've got the likes of Patrick Guiaro, Alexia Putellas, and keeping both of those pretty quiet. I would say they've done a pretty good job, and we will see better from Lucia Kendall in possession, no doubt. I think she's come on leaps and bounds. Bear in mind that that's her fourth cap.
That's the context that seems to be lacking.
It's her fourth cap for England. I think she's cemented her England place. I don't think she'll be heading back down to the 23s anytime soon. I think you can tell by the way that Serena Wiegman talks about her as well, how valued she is in that setup. And she's done really well to make that step up, and it's only everything from here is learning processes, and she has never come up against a Spanish team like that before, so she's going to have learned so much from that, and she's going to take that forward, I think, into the next year.
You were praising LJ on social media, understandably. She was superb going forward, a lot of her technique on display, and what actually stood out for me, and maybe it's because I started shooting England's defensive end, was how much I saw of Lauren James, and how much I saw of her being very, and this is like, people will be like, oh, she's a good footballer, of course she's intelligent, how intelligent defensively she was, which, to be fair to her, is not really her job, but like, not only was she kind of stopping opportunities, but she was being really smart with the way she played the ball out and stuff as well. So that's an area of her game that's come on leaps and bounds.
And I think even if you think about like 3 years ago, everyone knows what a brilliant player Lauren James is. Like, on the football, the way that she can keep the ball at her feet and make it look so easy when it's actually really, really hard. And like, I just think about that turn she did on Guiaro in the box, and she should have put that shot away. We all know that side of her game and how good she is in those attacking areas. As you say, though, her out of possession game, her defensive tracking back, is a bit of her game that has come on so much in the last 3 years. The way that she can track back now, where she busts a lung to get back and cover. And I was just watching back there, Alex Greenwood getting caught high, and it's Lauren James who's the one sprinting back to cover that position. And she didn't do that, a few years ago. As much. She really relied on the attacking side of the game, and now I think she's really realised her responsibilities. Yes, she's brilliant when she's going forward, but she needs to be there, as Lauren Hemp is, in terms of the tracking back and covering side of things. And it's why in the summer we saw her play in the midfield, like she was playing in the centre midfield at times, because I think everyone's seen how much of an improvement in that side of her game it is, and people trust her now in those situations.
I put up a couple of photos I got last night. Didn't have a great night behind the lens, but I got a shot of Lauren James and Ona Baje, and someone commented underneath saying, and that's LJ defending Ona as opposed to the defender defending the attacker. It was the other way around. It was funny that someone pointed that out. Okay, Ciara Walsh. 100th appearance, captain of the night for the night as well.
I remember her.
What a place in a game to do it.
Do you remember her first cap? Was it Kazakhstan or Russia? I can't remember. It's one of the two. I think it was one of those.
I don't know.
Maybe
We were
it
at
was
both.
Leah Williamson.
Leah Williamson was Russia.
So maybe it was Kazakhstan. I can't remember. It was sometime around that period. She's come on. She's like that quite quiet, unassuming midfielder.
It's when you take her out of the game.
Magic.
Yeah, when you take her out.
And I know she gets some criticism, but I don't think this England side operates as well without her. And even when you can't find her the space on the ball, I think she provides a lot of stability and leadership. And it was interesting in this game. She was dropping back into the back line on several occasions to provide extra cover in that back line. She was so well organised, she led by example. I think, I just remember her watching her as an under-17s, and kind of her class has always been there, and I'm just very, very pleased for her.
It was Kazakhstan, by the way.
Kazakhstan. I knew it was one of them.
Yeah. It is, of course, the Lionesses' 500th game coming up in Iceland. And last night they did a little bit of an opportunity to celebrate in front of the home fans. They brought back previous Lionesses as well. The programme was very much dedicated to them, which was really cool.
It was a very cool programme.
Yeah. So that was nice to see. They will, of course, be having that game away from home, which is probably a bit annoying, but it was nice for them to have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, and I think the FA have done an awful lot of work in terms of remembering the past as well as looking to the present and the future. And given the history of women's football in this country, I think that's a big acknowledgement to do, a big step up to do, to be able to, go back and start. They've done all of these legacy caps and stuff, and to have the former Lionesses on the pitch at Wembley and to be celebrated when they existed in an era where they weren't celebrated at all. I think it's such a nice touch, but an important touch, and one that should have been done long ago. So I think the FA are doing a great job in that.
And another commemoration, of course, was for Mary Earps, who got her send-off, much-deserved send-off, given her virtual and literal flowers pitchside and her shirt framed, which was a nice touch as well. She was there with friends and family, so it was very nice to see her get that and get that reception from the crowd. Speaking of goalkeepers, can't move on without mentioning the Hannah Hampton save at the end. Sorry, I should have said it earlier, but that was unbelievable.
Unbelievable, and it just shows that you just have to be alert, and she's a world-class keeper, and she's scrambled England out of a situation so many times in the last year particularly, and that's what you get with having a world-class keeper between the sticks. I do think there were times in the game where her distribution wasn't the best and maybe a bit off, especially when you think about Hannah Hampton, and that's a key part of her game. But she makes up for it all with that save at the end, and that was going right in the back of the net without her there. So, kudos to her.
Okay, moving on to Poland-Ireland. Poland 2, Ireland 3. A fast start for the girls in green. They were 2-0 up inside 20 minutes. Emily Murphy and Katie McCabe getting the goals within 2 or 3 minutes of each other. Lovely goal from Emily Murphy. That came from open play. Denise O'Sullivan got it into, I can't remember who she got it into, but it ended up in the path of Emily Murphy, and I'm sure King Ishemik in goal will be a bit frustrated because she got fingertips to it, but doesn't matter. I'm glad to see Emily Murphy getting in and amongst the goals. It's no more than she deserves. And then Katie McCabe with a trademark McBanger from a corner. Second ball on the volley. Nothing King Ishemik could have done about that one. So that was, Ireland looked comfortable. They looked in control. They weren't I didn't actually think they were sitting back too much to try and control that 2-0 lead. I think they were looking to try and get goals, but understandably Poland then grew into the game and managed to get a little bit of a foothold in it. I think they were on the back foot for a little while and got their goal. It was a very good header, that goal.
Yeah, it was just towards the end of the first half.
Yeah, and it was between the gap and a door kind of header.
Yeah, I don't think there was any... Initially I thought there was more Brosnan could have done, but then when I watched it back I was like, that's a bloody good header. I think the mistake came in not jumping with her. She had a bit of a free run at it.
Yeah. So second half then, going in 2-1, you'd be forgiven for thinking Ireland might come out a little bit nervy, but actually I think, again, they were very much on the front foot, knew that this win was important. Now, obviously, every team in League A will have the opportunity to, if you come top, obviously you qualify straight away, but will have the opportunity to go through a playoff system, but the further up the group you finish, the more favourable your draw may be. So Ireland obviously very keen to not just improve their playoff chances, but I just think as well to stamp their mark and say being in League A as the kind of underdog team, they were the lowest ranked team at the beginning of this phase of qualifiers. They want to stamp their mark. They want to show that they're not an easy team. They're not a team you can walk over. And I think you saw that with the France and Netherlands games. They were disappointed to come out of that last window with no points.
I think it's really important for Carla Ward as well, because when a team starts doing well, when a team makes a World Cup, suddenly the expectations skyrocket, and for whatever reason you're suddenly expected to beat everyone or challenge everyone. And I think there has to be realism. I think in Carla Ward's tenure so far, there was that iffy first camp against Slovenia where they lost, and that was before she'd even managed to get her feet really under the table and get settled. I think from that point onward, they've shown what they can do under her, and they've been building with every camp and every game. I think the Belgium result was huge in terms of showing that they had enough to get, especially at the Aviva, I think.
Yeah.
To go away from home as well, but I think that one at the Aviva, I really thought it was a turning point. They are not. They will always go into a game trying to win it, but they are not expected to beat the likes of the Netherlands and France at this
Depends
stage.
who you ask in Ireland.
No, but they're just like being completely realistic. The fact that they're even challenging them is huge, and the fact that they're going into games and making it tight and giving the likes of the Dutch and the French a real run for their money, that is huge and shows the progress that's being made. It was this game that would be the one, these two games, this double-header, that would be the one to really kind of tell where they're at. Poland obviously qualified for the Euros, played in the Euros last summer, something that Ireland didn't do. So they're a team very much in the same kind of situation as Ireland, who qualified for the World Cup. They've qualified for their first major tournament. They're building off the back of that. They have some quality players. So for Ireland to go away from home and to have a really controlled performance, they should have come away 4-2 winners. Less said about that penalty, the better.
It's still coming down.
It's somewhere on the moon. It's met the Artemis crew. They're no longer there. I joke, but to have that and to be able to come back to the Aviva now, knowing that they've done that, and to have the home crowd and to know what works against them. They were enjoying so much space out there.
Yeah,
like they were
on
having,
a dodgy ass pitch.
Yeah, and the Aviva will be much better condition, and they will feel that they can do the same again. Obviously, they have to be very diligent, not be complacent. They have to be very aware of like the likes of Eva Payet, who is like just superb, and her goal showed that. But it gives them a lot of confidence, and if they can come out of this round with 6 points,
unbelievable,
then they are, I think that's almost job done in the group, and then whatever happens in the last window, as long as they give a good showing of themselves, it happens.
Yeah. I want to shout out Aoife Mannion, Anna Patton. Aoife Mannion, I just thought, I didn't manage to watch the full 90 minutes in one sitting, but I got to watch, I'd say, about 60, 70 minutes of it. I just thought Aoife Mannion was superb.
And given that she's playing centre-back at club and right-back at Ireland, we know she's quality, but the way that she can transition so quickly between positions and
some of the timings of her tackles and stuff as well was just excellent. Anna Patton too, there was a couple of really good kind of goal-saving tackles made by them. Marissa Shiva got her goal as well, much deserved goal. She's really enjoying her time under Carla Ward, and I think in the kind of the way that Board wants to play football seems to really suit her. And again, it's the same with Emily Murphy, and the two of them are getting much more game time at club, and you're just seeing the fruits of that.
And I think you said it before in another window, like it's finding that balance, right? And Carla Ward's had to find that balance between the football that she wants to play and where Ireland are at. But I think you are starting to see it's not stodgy football anymore. It's, they're putting together some really good passages of play. They did the same against France in the last window. They're having good opportunities, and that's the development piece of this team, and it's not going to happen overnight. It's foundations. It's bit by bit, block by block, but they are moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I actually am reminded a bit when Ireland play against these top teams, the kind of discipline and diligence across the team in the way that they want to play reminds me a bit of England when they play Spain. They're really locked in what each individual person's job is, and they don't stray from it. And in the past, Ireland haven't been able to sustain that for 90 minutes. Now they can.
Yeah.
And it just reminds me of watching England against Spain, where they're really good out of possession. Ireland have gotten really good at playing out of possession without looking like they're massively sitting back. And they're obviously now developing much more quality when they do break as well. So in that group, Netherlands beat France, which means the Netherlands are on 7, France are on 6, Ireland are on 3, and Poland are on 1. So it's quite a wide open group at the moment. Elsewhere, home nations. Wales beat Albania 4-0. Kane with a brace, Hughes and Roberts getting the goals as well. A beautiful pass from Griffiths for Kane's first. I'd say the keeper will be annoyed with at least 3 of those goals. She could have come out quicker for the first. She was dawdling. I don't know what she was doing. Hannah Kane had all day to kind of receive the ball and take the shot. She then dropped the cross. That was then, I think was it Griffiths? I can't remember who had the cross in. Dropped the cross for the second, which just landed in the feet. And then I think she got tangled with her own kind of defender for the cross in for the third, so she just couldn't get off her line. Fourth goal. Kane's fourth goal was a lovely goal. Kane's second, Wales's fourth was a lovely goal. There was nothing the goalkeeper could do about that. I thought Mara Griffiths had a good game. She was kind of in and amongst a lot of it. They are second in their group.
They're winning the games that they're meant to be winning.
Yes, second in the group on goal difference. Same number of points as Czechia, who are on top. So,
and I think this is what you would also say about Ireland as well, is when they went up to Ligue A the first time, they gave a good account of themselves but didn't quite get the results, other than the France one.
And there was context around that.
And then they came back down for League B, and they started winning comfortably and scoring goals and being quite secure in that. And I think that's the journey that these teams that are going to go up and down regularly. They're not going to be Ligue A forever. There will be fluctuations in it, but they're learning how to beat the teams that they're meant to be beating and not be scared in those situations and have the confidence that they are better than the opposition. And then when they get the chance to be in Ligue A, they are
more
stepping up
in
the
front of
level,
goal.
and they're stepping up a level and realising that they can, the steps that you have to make to try and meet that quality. And I think that's really, really valuable for them.
Northern Ireland beat Malta 4-0 as well. Halliday with the brace, Andrews and Maxwell on the score sheet. They opened the scoring within 5 minutes. Could have had more than the two in the first half that they did get. Halliday's second, which was Northern Ireland's third, was a lovely, lovely goal. And Halliday was involved in everything. It sounds a bit like I'm talking about Wales. It was almost like a mirror image kind of storyline, although I do think Malta could have got on the score sheet themselves. They had a couple of, close opportunities. But I thought Northern Ireland were deserved winners. And again, that'll just give them that bit of confidence. That win puts them third in their group.
Yeah, they've had a bit of a tough start to this qualification campaign. Obviously had an interim manager in the first window. Now they have Michael McArdle in on full-time basis. So for him to get his first win comfortably is huge, I think. They were always expected to beat Malta.
Yeah.
So you just have to get those jobs done. I think it's a big job. But I think, it's a good start and something for him to build on. Scotland
drew 1-1 with Belgium. McGovern scoring the equaliser in the 95th minute of 7 minutes of injury time. They conceded a scrappy goal from a corner, which they would have been frustrated about. Mary Taylor could have equalised earlier on in the game towards the end of the first half, but the equaliser was deserved. They were knocking on the door, and the goal was a thing of beauty. A pinpoint bending cross from Davidson across the front of the goal for McGovern to slide in for, which was, a beautiful bit of play and a deserved draw. But that draw then puts Scotland top of their group on goal difference with Belgium below on the same points. And Belgium are a tricky customer.
Really tricky, and it was really important to get that point at home because they're going to Leuven next, and we all know how tricky that place can be. Belgium love playing there. They thrive there, and while they've lost some games there, but I think they really view it as a bit of a fortress from them. They enjoy that pitch. They enjoy having their home crowds that get really behind them. Tessa Willett is always on the money in that ground. So it's going to be a tough ask, I think, for Melissa Andriatta's side going to Belgium. Better teams have fallen to the Belgian Red Flames on that ground. The less said about that, the better. But I think, just a really vital point.
The home nations now play the same with Poland again this week. We've discussed how we don't really like having the same team back to back. They'll know who they're up against. It'll be interesting to see how the teams who lost learn from those fixtures. Ireland are taking on Poland again at the Aviva Stadium this weekend. Huge game there. And England are facing Iceland away. We'll be there. And as I said, we're going to try and do a bit of vlogging, but don't hold us to it. But we are going to, come along on the journey with us.
We're going to go horse riding on the beach.
We've taken a few extra days to enjoy a bit of Iceland, even though we've been there before, but we're going somewhere different. It's going to be cold, which will be really helpful for our cold. Any other business? Anything I've missed?
No, I think.
Do you know what I didn't do?
What?
Ask you to give me a player of the week.
Oh, well, that's fine.
No, it's not. We promised them.
Okay. Player of the week, I'm going to go with Lauren Hemp from England. I just thought she was brilliant, not just in her goal, which was really well taken. Although, let's shout out that assist from Alessia Russo. I can't stop watching it. But I think she and Lucy Bronze are really flourishing on that right-hand side. It's been a concerted decision from Serena Wiegmann to switch her from the left to the right, to use the like the power of the inversion, but also I guess her pace and her tracking back and providing extra cover for when Lucy Bronze goes on one of her canters. So I just think she was brilliant.
And can you shine your spotlight on?
So I would go 1 for Katie McCabe's goal.
Okay.
And I just shouted out what I was going to shout out my spotlight on, Alessia Russo's assist, because to have that presence of mind when you've been sort of
Putting your back,
prone on the ground, and to go, oh, I see Lauren Hemp there, I'm going to just like lie on my back and just like dink it forward and stick out a leg, and it was really, really smart footballing.
Ridiculous. Okay.
And fully intentional as well. So.
Yes. There you have it. Now we can wrap the pod.
Yeah.
I almost forgot the most important part. Again, make sure you're subscribing and following so you don't miss our journey in Iceland or any more of our coverage. Otherwise, we'll chat to you next week to see all the teams get on pretty much against the same opponents.